A routine delivery takes a shocking turn when a USPS driver notices a desperate handwritten note on a package. Time is running out, and he knows he must act fast. But what he uncovers is far more terrifying than he ever imagined. Will he be able to save a life before it's too late? Motorway hadn't barely begun its descent when Ethan Parker, a dedicated USPS driver, pulled into Maplewood Street. In this quiet suburban neighborhood, every house looked picture perfect. It was just another routine delivery day, until it wasn't. Ethan had been working this route for 3 years and knew most of the residents well enough to predict their routines. The Johnsons always received their monthly book subscription. Mrs. Miller ordered gardening supplies every other week, and the Ramirez family had a small package waiting almost daily. But today, something felt off. As Ethan sifted through the packages in his truck, his eyes landed on a small brown box. Nothing unusual at first glance, but as he reached for it, his fingers brushed against a piece of paper taped to the side. His brow furrowed as he pulled it closer to read. "Help me! I'm in danger! Don't leave!" Ethan's pulse quickened, his breath hitched. Was this some joke? A prank by kids? But the shaky, uneven handwriting suggested something else: fear, desperation. He looked around. The package was addressed to Apartment 3B in the old Willow Creek apartment complex, a run-down building at the end of the street. Ethan had been there before. He knew the place had a reputation for being sketchy, but never had he encountered something like this in his years of delivering mail. His training told him to ignore suspicious messages and simply deliver the mail, but his gut told him otherwise. Taking a deep breath, he made a decision. He wasn't leaving until he got answers. "Would you like me to continue writing the remaining sections? Let me know. You do not have enough humanizer words left. Upgrade your surfer plan." Ethan tightened his grip on the package, his heart pounding as he stepped onto the worn-out porch of the Willow Creek apartment complex. The place had always felt eerie to him: dimly lit hallways, peeling paint, and a constant, unsettling silence that made the air heavier. He approached Apartment 3B, the address on the package, and hesitated before knocking. He half expected someone to swing open the door, laughing, admitting it was all a cruel joke, but no one did. Instead, silence. He knocked again. "Hello? USPS delivery?" Still nothing. Ethan shifted uneasily. The note was real, but what if it had been put there by mistake? What if whoever wrote it was no longer inside? His instincts screamed at him. Something was wrong. Slowly, he pressed his ear against the door. Then, a faint sound. A muffled cry. Barely audible, but enough to send chills down his spine. His mind raced. He wasn't a cop, he wasn't a hero. He was just a delivery guy. But if someone inside was really in danger, could he walk away? He took a deep breath and made a bold choice. He tried the doorknob. To his surprise, it turned. The door was unlocked. A wave of hesitation washed over him. This was beyond his job. He could get in trouble for this. But then, he remembered the note. "Help me. I'm in danger. Don't leave." Swallowing his fear, Ethan slowly pushed the door open. What he saw inside made his stomach drop. A dimly lit room cluttered with overturned furniture, papers scattered across the floor. A woman sitting in the corner, trembling, her hands bound with thick rope. Her wide, terrified eyes locked onto his. And then, before he could react, a shadow moved behind him. "Would you like me to continue with Section 3? The tension is building. Let me know if you need any modifications." Ethan barely had time to register the woman's terrified gaze before he felt it. A presence behind him. A cold, suffocating wave of dread crashed over him as his instincts screamed, "Move!" But before he could react, a hand clamped onto his shoulder. A rough, guttural voice snarled, "You shouldn't be here." Ethan spun around, his pulse skyrocketing. A man loomed in the doorway, his frame blocking the only exit. His face was half hidden by shadows, but Ethan could make out wild, bloodshot eyes and a nasty-looking scar running down his cheek. Ethan's breath hitched. I was just delivering a package," he stammered, raising his hands. The man's eyes flicked to the package Ethan still clutched in his hands. A strange, eerie smile stretched across his face. "Well, well," the man muttered, stepping closer. "Looks like you found something you weren't supposed to." Ethan's grip on the box tightened. He could hear the woman whimper softly behind him, her bound hands trembling against her lap. "Think, Ethan. Think." His eyes darted around the apartment. The window was shut, the kitchen too far, and the front door blocked. He was trapped. "Look, man, I don't want any trouble." Ethan tried again, forcing his voice to stay steady. "I'll leave. Just let me go." The man chuckled, a low, chilling sound. "Oh, you're not going anywhere." Ethan's stomach twisted. This wasn't good. Bad. But then, the woman. She wasn't just sitting there anymore, she was moving. Slowly, carefully, her hands fumbling behind her back. She was trying to untie herself. Ethan knew he had to buy her time. He swallowed hard and forced a nervous chuckle. "Hey, do you mind if I set this package down? My boss gets real mad if I drop them." The man frowned, thrown off by the sudden shift. "What?" Ethan seized the moment. He hurled the package straight at the man's face with every ounce of strength. The box collided with a sickening crack, sending the man stumbling back with a curse. Ethan didn't hesitate. He lunged toward the woman, frantically ripping at the ropes. Come on," he whispered desperately. The ropes gave way. She gasped, her voice hoarse. "Run!" And then, a furious roar behind them. The man wasn't down yet, and he was coming for them. "Do you want me to continue with Section 4? Things are getting intense." Ethan barely had time to react before the man lunged at him. A mighty shove sent Ethan crashing against the wall, pain shooting through his shoulder. The woman screamed, scrambling to her feet as the man turned his fury toward her. "No!" Ethan gasped, forcing himself up. His heart pounded in his ears. He couldn't let her get hurt. The woman tried to run, but the man grabbed her by the arm, yanking her back. Her terrified eyes met Ethan's. "Help me," she cried. Ethan didn't think. He acted. His eyes darted to the nearest weapon, a rusty lamp on the side table. Without hesitation, he grabbed it and swung with everything he had. Crack! The lamp smashed into the man's head, sending him reeling backward with a groan of pain. This was their chance. "Run!" Ethan shouted, grabbing the woman's hand. They bolted toward the door, but the man recovered faster than expected. Heavy footsteps thundered behind them. Ethan barely got the door open when a hand yanked at his shirt. Panic surged through him. He twisted, elbowing the man in the ribs. The grip loosened, just enough. The woman yanked Ethan through the door, and they sprinted down the apartment hallway. "Where are the stairs?" Ethan asked breathlessly. "End of the hall," she gasped. But behind them, the man was coming. Slam! The sound of a door bursting open sent chills down Ethan's spine. They had seconds. The woman pointed. "There!" They reached the stairwell and practically flew down the steps, skipping 2 at a time. Behind them, the man's angry shouts echoed through the building. Down one flight, then another. The woman suddenly stumbled, her legs weak from exhaustion. Ethan caught her, steadying her. "We're almost there," he panted. Then, a burst of light. The exit. They shoved through the door and spilled into the alleyway. But they weren't safe yet. The man was still up there. And if he had a way down, they were trapped. Ethan grabbed the woman's hand. "We have to get help! Now!" She nodded, eyes wide with fear. But before they could run, a car screeched to a stop in front of them. The doors flew open, and Ethan's heart nearly stopped at who stepped out. Do you want me to continue with Section 5? Things are getting even more intense. The blinding headlights made Ethan squint as the car screeched to a stop. Doors flew open. A man in a dark suit stepped out, his expression unreadable. Ethan's stomach clenched. Who was this? A savior or another threat? The woman beside him stiffened, her breath hitched. She recognized him. "Get in!" the man ordered, his sharp gaze fixed on them. Ethan hesitated. Trusting a stranger could be a mistake, but heavy footsteps pounding down the stairwell behind them meant they were out of time. The woman gripped Ethan's arm. "We have to go!" That was enough. Ethan yanked the car door open and pulled her inside. The moment the door shut, the car sped off. Ethan twisted around. The man from the apartment had just burst into the alley. Their attacker skidded to a stop, rage twisting his features as he watched them escape. The woman exhaled sharply, pressing a shaking hand to her chest. That was too close. Ethan turned to the driver. "Who are you?" The man's eyes met his in the rearview mirror. "Someone who's been looking for her." The woman stiffened. "Looking for me? Why?" The driver sighed, his grip tightening on the wheel. "Because I know who you really are." A chill ran down Ethan's spine. What was that supposed to mean? The woman swallowed hard. I don't understand." The driver's gaze flicked to her again. "You don't remember, do you?" She shook her head, confusion written all over her face. Ethan's pulse pounded. Something wasn't right. This wasn't just a random escape. This was planned. "Who was that man?" Ethan asked, his voice tight. The driver didn't answer right away. Then, "Your captor." Ethan's breath caught. "Captive?" His eyes darted to the woman. "What is he talking about?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Did she not know? The driver kept his eyes on the road. She doesn't remember, because they made sure she wouldn't. Ethan's blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" The driver sighed. "She was taken years ago. She just doesn't know it yet." The woman gasped, her hands flying to her head. No, that's not possible." Ethan's fists clenched. If this was true, then their nightmare wasn't over. It was just beginning. The car sped through the dark streets, weaving between traffic as if the driver had a destination. Ethan's mind raced just as fast. Was she taken? The woman beside him shook her head furiously. "That's impossible. I have memories of my life, my family, my childhood." The driver's jaw tightened. "Are you sure those memories are real?" Silence filled the car. Her breathing became ragged. Doubt crept into her eyes. Ethan reached for her hand. "Hey, you don't have to believe him. But we need answers." She swallowed hard, her fingers tightening around his. The driver took a sharp turn. "There's a reason you've been running, a reason that man was chasing you. You don't remember what they did to you but they do." Ethan leaned forward. "Who is she, and why do they want her back?" The driver hesitated before answering. "She is the daughter of someone very powerful, someone they wanted to erase." A gasp escaped the woman's lips. "That doesn't make sense. My parents were just—" She froze, her face going pale. Ethan saw it, a flicker of something buried deep in her mind, a suppressed memory. The driver nodded as if he expected this. Think. Have you ever felt like something was missing? Like pieces of your past didn't fit? Her breath hitched. I always thought I had memory gaps, like I was forgetting things from when I was young. Ethan's grip on her hand tightened. What if they weren't forgotten? What if they were taken from you? Tears welled in her eyes. But why? The driver's expression darkened. Because you were a threat. Your real family was supposed to be gone. But you survived. A lump formed in Ethan's throat. This wasn't just about a random attack. This was bigger. The car suddenly slowed down. The driver pulled into an abandoned parking lot and turned to face them. If you want the truth, we have to act fast, because they will come for you again. The woman wiped at her tears. Her voice was shaky but firm. I want to know who I really am. Ethan nodded. And I'm not leaving her alone in this. The driver exhaled sharply. Then hold on, because once you know the truth, there's no turning back. As the car roared to life again, Ethan braced himself. The truth was near, but so was danger. The car screeched to a halt outside an old, abandoned warehouse. Ethan exchanged a tense glance with the woman beside him, whose hands trembled in her lap. The driver turned around, his eyes dark with urgency. This is where it all began. A cold shiver ran down her spine. She didn't understand why, but something about this place felt familiar. Ethan helped her out of the car, his protective stance never wavering. Are you sure about this? He whispered. She nodded, even though fear twisted her stomach. She needed to know the truth. The driver led them through a rusted door. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of old memories. Boxes were stacked against the walls and faded papers littered the ground. But then, she saw it. A wall covered in photographs. Her breath caught in her throat as she stepped closer. There she was, a little girl in a blue dress, smiling beside a man with piercing eyes. A woman with long, dark hair held her hand. A family she didn't recognize, but somehow knew. Her knees buckled. Ethan caught her before she fell. It's you, he murmured, scanning the photos. This is your real family. Tears blurred her vision, flashes of memories, a warm embrace, laughter, a soft lullaby surged through her mind. She had a family, and they took it from her. The driver's voice was low. Your father was a whistleblower. He exposed something powerful. They wanted to silence him, and they did. Her heart pounded. And me? The driver sighed. You were supposed to die with them, but someone saved you. Hey, erased your past and placed you in a new life, but the people who wanted you gone. He gestured toward the photographs, his jaw tightening. They found out you survived. Ethan clenched his fists. That's why they came after her. She swallowed hard, a storm raging inside her. So, my whole life, it was all a lie. The driver nodded. But now you have a choice. You can keep running, or you can fight back. Silence filled the room. Then, resolve replaced fear. She turned to Ethan, eyes fierce. I'm done running! Ethan's lips curled into a determined smirk. Then we end this together. As they stepped out of the warehouse, the night air felt different, lighter, freed. But they knew the fight wasn't over, it was just beginning. Enjoyed this story? Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales. Let's spread the message of hope and unity together. Thanks and take care.